Volkswagen claims that it overestimated demand for its electric cars by 30%. Now it's going to fire a whole bunch of workers because people don't want EVs, or at least people don't want as many EVs as what Volkswagen thought. This doesn't make any sense. In fact, it's utter nonsense. The reason I say that is, well, for one, what happened to all the orders Volkswagen said they had? Volkswagen had been crowing for a long time, until only a few months ago, that it had more than 12 months of pre-orders for its EVs. In fact, they said 18 months only about 4 months ago. Where have all those orders just disappeared to? Why is the media not holding these bizarre statements from Volkswagen to any account whatsoever? And why is it that no one is pointing out the obvious here? The fact that Volkswagen can't sell all of its EVs that it's making doesn't mean that others can't. I mean, the European car market has just... its EV sales have skyrocketed this year. Just because Volkswagen can't sell overpriced vehicles doesn't mean people don't want them. It just doesn't want to pay what Volkswagen is selling them for. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the channel. I'm the Electric Viking. Thank you for tuning in. My name's Sam Evans, and it's great to see you. Welcome to all the new subscribers, and welcome back everyone else. So Volkswagen says they overestimated interest in electric cars by 30%, and they will lay off EV auto workers as gas prices drop. Citing so-called softening demand for electric vehicles, nothing to do with how compelling the actual cars are themselves or the pricing themselves, Volkswagen will be pausing production at its Emden plant and laying off a fifth of its workforce. Rising electricity prices and lower gasoline have affected the buying argumentation too, as EVs are still way more expensive than gas-powered cars, says Volkswagen. Well, I don't know, maybe someone should have given that memo to Chinese EV makers or Tesla. I mean, the reality is the Model Y is pretty much on par with gasoline-powered vehicle prices in Europe. There's plenty of different vehicles with similar specification to the Model Y that actually cost more than the Model Y in Europe. So that is really not an accurate claim. What I've been saying on the channel, guys, for a long time here, I feel like some of the comments I say, people just ignore it. I don't really know why, because I've been saying, why would anyone pay the same amount of money for a Volkswagen ID3, which is, it's not half the size, but it's not far off. It's way smaller than a Tesla Model Y. Why would they pay the same money for an ID3 as a Model Y? And I don't know. I mean, it's like Volkswagen are just intentionally ignoring those statements. And the reason for this is they don't make a profit on EVs, so they're not willing to sell them cheaper. But the thing is, their competitors are. I mean, look what we've just seen over the last few weeks. 3 different models of electric car, all a similar size to a Volkswagen ID3, priced at nearly half the price. I mean, that's in Australia, sure, but it's the same thing will happen in many countries. Volkswagen are just going to get left behind if they have this attitude. Volkswagen are saying they're putting the brakes on electric vehicle production as rising electricity costs mean EVs are not that compelling anymore. After missing its sales forecast by 30%, it's blaming customers, not its own products. Volkswagen will idle its dedicated EV factory in Emden for 6 weeks, just sit it there doing nothing, and lay off 300 workers there. The move comes in contrast to the success stories that other EV makers have had over the past quarter, with Tesla, BYD, Rivian, and others all having record delivery numbers. Here's what Volkswagen said. The Volkswagen brand, like other car manufacturers, is currently seeing softening demand for its electric cars. Tell that to the many car markets around the world where they've doubled what they were last year. Reasons for this include reduced subsidies, higher inflation, and recent longer delivery times due to the shortage of parts. We are confident that demand for all electric cars will pick up again as the year progresses. With the extensively revised ID3 and the new ID7, we continue to launch attractive new models. Now, if they were that attractive, why is it that like famous YouTubers who've been given their cars gave them back? I mean, didn't technically give them back, but they pretty much just gave them up. Like, oh, we don't want it, this is annoying. I'm not saying I wouldn't take an ID4 Volkswagen, I'll take it. Yeah, sure, you can give one to me. But my point here is the product just isn't as good as what Volkswagen thought it was. And people were complaining about software. Volkswagen knows this has been an issue. It's kind of set this stage for this situation to happen. That being said, the launch of the ID7 was supposed to be this month, but it's been postponed to later in the year. So what happened to the ID7? I don't know. Volkswagen think maybe it's not good enough. Possibly. All that said, Volkswagen is now reducing the prices of its electric cars. It's done that in the US, of course. It's done that a little bit in Europe. Not as much as it should, in my opinion, but it has. And it has announced a mass market Volkswagen ID2 All, which is meant to be like a $25,000 electric car. It will cost half of what its EVs cost now, say Volkswagen, and go into production in 2025. Gas-powered cars are still $10,000 cheaper than EVs on average, according to Volkswagen. However, so Volkswagen may have to speed up its battery production and R&D plans to remain competitive in the EV era, or they could just get smart. I mean, do what Tesla does. Build a massive factory in China using lithium iron phosphate battery packs. I mean, think about it, right? If they used LMFP batteries, the new lithium iron phosphate battery with manganese added to the battery, giving it about a 15% higher energy density than LFP, they could use smaller battery packs to get the same range. Battery prices have come down this year. I mean, if they combine a structural battery pack using an LMFP battery, something like a 45 kilowatt hour size battery pack, in a car, say the size of maybe a Golf, Volkswagen Golf type size, make that sort of a crossover type vehicle, they could sell many of those at 30,000 US dollars, probably hundreds and hundreds of thousands. That would be a compelling vehicle. They could price it affordably, not make a loss, but they didn't do it. Alas, here lies the issue. It's not demand, it's the product. Somebody needs to give Volkswagen the memo. Thank you for watching.